Maybe a month ago, we asked a simple question. Who do you think will be Zimbabwe's next president come January 1, 2029? The names that came up were familiar. Nelson Chamisa, for instance, plausible. Some for comic relief like Wicknell Chivayo. And we threw in a surprising caveat, Kuda Tagwirei. At the time, it seemed very speculative. In fact, many people dismissed the idea. A number of responses we got even said, no, Tagwirei's got no interest in politics, he's a church and business guy. But that's all changed. Kuda Tagwirei is no longer just associated with business and philanthropy, he now holds a seat in Zanu PF's powerful central committee. And his rise has introduced a new dynamic, new tensions, new angles to Zimbabwe's politics. To understand this moment, we must look at it from two angles. His work within and alongside Zanu PF, as well as the reaction from former party members and political actors outside the current leadership structure. It's a Sunday, I'm Maynard, and let's review this. Tagwirei has long operated close to the state. He's been described as a government facilitator, especially during the era of sanctions. Consider him a sanctions buster. Through his Bridging Gaps Foundation, he implemented multiple aid programs in Mutoko district. The numbers we hear are about 1,500 families were assisted. He built like 3 boreholes for different schools. A 6.2 kV solar system was installed at Kushinga Health Center in Bechina, for instance. And some of the aid reached over 2,000 families. During the COVID-19 pandemic, Tagwirei launched Arundel hospitals in Harare and Bulawayo. According to their figures, around 320,000 people have received health support from these institutions so far. And to date, the hospitals report that maybe 500,000 people have, received free healthcare. In 2015, I think alongside the General Conference or something like that, he helped fund a 2-week community health expo where 34,000 patients were attended to. The budget for that was around $3.5 million. In 2018, he was appointed as presidential advisor with a role focused on development planning in business. And through Secunda Holdings, he ran Command Agriculture. It was allocated about 1.1 billion, if I remember correctly, according to the 2021 Public Accounts Committee report. It wasn't solely run by Secunda. 8 other companies were also involved, but Secunda was very central to that. And, when you take it a step further, we also had fuel shortages around 2018, 2019, and Secunda played a significant role in assisting, the Zimbabwean government plug that gap and make sure that there was fuel in the country. As a Seventh-day Adventist, he's reported to have donated farming tools, seeds, fertilizer, stuff to 63 schools, and he's a big player at Solusi University, a private university in Matabeleland, where I think he built something like 9 kilometers of pipeline, donated like fencing for 127 hectares, 9 SUVs, 5 tractors, an ambulance. He built a 500,000 liter tank, and basically he's been supporting stuff with a lot of allowances. The list is long, right? But you kind of get the picture. Going back to energy, between 2011 and 2012, for instance, Secunda became the region's largest fuel broker outside South Africa, working closely with Trafigura. And Tagwirei expanded, from that into mining, into finance, and he's really, basically, think of him as the person the government turns to when they are broke, the person the government turns to when they don't have money, or the person the government turns to when they need him to help people free of charge. That's basically his history. Inside the Zanu PF party, Tagwirei is basically the principal funder of Zanu PF. He was appointed by President Emmerson Mnangagwa to the Land Tenure Implementation Committee, basically linking his work to national institutions. His entry into the Central Committee has now been recently confirmed, but you might be asking yourself, what does this mean for party politics? We asked Taurai Kandishaya, a Zanu PF youth leader and quite a vocal supporter of President Mnangagwa. And in a telephone conversation with Dagap, Kandishaya told Dagap that Zanu PF is basically rebuilding, and because it's rebuilding, it's opening its doors to all citizens. In the past, right, the central committee appointments were highly structured. But according to Kandishaya, Mnangagwa has encouraged basically broad participation. So everything from vendors, drivers, teachers, and even religious leaders are being invited to partake. And with that reasoning, people from business have also been invited to join in, therefore Tagwirei gets in. Kandishaya says this shift is meant to align the party with its base, and on Tagwirei he argues that this fits within the basic widened framework. We also spoke to Munya Chiondegwa. Munya Chiondegwa is a Zanu PF member. He comes from the same area as Tagwirei, and we asked him a simple question. Munya, who is Kuda Tagwirei? Why is he now in Zanu PF? And without preempting, let's hear from Munya and hear Munya's take.
When they decided to nominate Kuda Tagwirei as a Central Committee member for Harare Province, now incorporating Kuda Tagwirei as a Central Committee member is strategic for one of the many reasons. That apart from him being one of the principal funders of Zanu PF, the man has a good reputation, like socially and economically. He has funded major programs across the country. Like, for example, where he comes from in Shurugwi, there is a place called Chachacha and another one called Tongogara, where I went to school. Apparently, I went to Tongogara High School in Shurugwi. There is a growth point there. He funded the construction of a third road from Chachacha, which is called Donga officially, to Tongogara, clearing the way for development to come to the growth point, which had been lagging behind in development because of the dust road. I know this road traveled up and down it for 6 long years, and then I actually went to Tongogara Road District Council for attachment when I was doing my accounting. So I know the place intimately, and I know it has benefited immensely from the construction of the third road by Kuda Tagwirei. He is also involved in the upliftment of many families in Togo, in Beshna Bridge, and well, students at Solusu will tell you, had it not been for him, they would not be having proper meals right now. The farm at Solusu would not be operational. I'm talking about Solusu University, where the man has funded the payment of food for students, the supply of equipment for the farm, supply of buses to use for the students, cars for teaching staff, I mean, including funding part of their salaries. That is not his biggest take after all. The man is a patriot. Through traffic, fuel problems in Zimbabwe are now a thing of the past. And this can all be traced back to Kuda Tagwirei. Hunger, which was stalking us, because of his willingness to put his money where his mouth was. He believed that we could produce our own food. What did he do? Together with his company, Sakunda Holdings, they bankrolled Commander Agriculture, which was then under the purview of the current president, when he was vice president under the late President Mugabe. Now, look here. These are actions of a patriot, not just actions of a businessman looking to make a quick buck. No. There are a lot of business people who could have put their money there. Kuda Tagwirei decided not to be skeptical and trust the system and put his money where it was really required. Now, this funding of initiatives that have uplifted the country have translated to him funding, pulling together resources to help in the reconstruction of the country. Part of his organization is there, Tefoma, where we know they're building, they're in the construction of the traffic interchange, Trabablaza traffic interchange along Masingo Road, just outside of Harare there. He has been involved in things that have been uplifting the country for a long time. So what is the problem with what is the noise that has been coming around? I think it does not have anything to do with him not being a capable politician or him being in politics at all, because all along this has not been a surprise. He has been known to be a Zanu PF member, suspected or whispered to be one anyways. Now he has just stepped out of the shadows and onto the fore, which is for me a good thing, the best thing, because apart from just him stepping into the political playground, he will pull other like-minded people like him, people who understand the economics, people who understand sanctions busting, which is something we desperately need as a country. And him being in a position to speak truth to power more often than he was. He has been a member of the Presidential Advisory Committee, has been a member, he was appointed to the land, to lead the land commission, everything. I mean, he has been in the thick of things, and now he's stepping out of his shadow and onto the political play. Harare made a strategic move, the best move by any party organ in recent years. I mean, apart from maybe elevating of the current president to the presidency, this is one of the biggest political moves.
Tagwirei's entrance into the political field has not gone unnoticed. It's triggered a lot of discomfort, especially among former Zanu PF members, particularly those that were expelled after the coup in 2017. And these include figures loosely aligned with the G40, such as, Saviour Kasukuwere, and other players. And the thing is, many of these people, they've kept a watchful distance from politics, hoping for another transition. In fact, some of them have been opposed to ideas like a transitional or exiled government. Remember how different players fought Hopo Chingonyo when he came up with that idea? It's because the people formerly in G40 believe that a future military-backed change could see them return. Their belief is based on the idea that the army made a mistake in backing Mnangagwa in 2017, and that Mnangagwa had lost the succession battle to G40, but he ended up in power because the army seized power and they gave it to him. And there is hope that in the future, if the army does it again, they will need another civilian face. And as civilian faces of power, should Chiwenga or any other military-linked figure do another coup, they could get back into power. But Tagwirei's appointment complicates that path. It adds a new civilian figure with deep links to the state structures, resources, and influence, and it closes the gap that they believed still existed in a post-coup political space. Summarily, Kuda Tagwirei has entered formal politics. His history is tied to economic support, government-linked projects, and philanthropy, stuff that has landed him on the US sanctions list because he's considered a sanctions buster. But now he's stepped directly into party structures. His rise has certainly unsettled some political actors, especially those planning for a post-Mnangagwa future, a Zimbabwe without Emerson Mnangagwa. For now, Tagwirei's role, it's limited to party structures, but his growing political involvement, it's already shifting the balance of power. And for G40 aligned figures like Saviour Kasukuwere, this is a major setback. A new player has entered the game, and the game has changed. Thanks once again for tuning into your Sunday review, where we look at seismic events and we give a review and an analysis. Thank you so much for watching. Like, share, subscribe, and see you soon. Goodbye.